John, I guess to kick things off, you generally speaking this year had relatively concise, shorter practice. Today was a particularly long one. Was that just due to the break and the off day yesterday?
Yeah, we didn't want to practice 2 days. I'm not going to practice 2 days in a row. And had a couple of things to cover today regarding our last game. Just mindset stuff and where the season is right now and how the game's played. So it didn't want to go as long as we did, but I felt we needed to.
Did you come away from watching the tape of Monday's game, I guess, more frustrated with how it played out?
No. I think it was the first period was an aberration for us. I thought we were 50-50 pucks, our battle level. I just thought we started slow. I actually liked the way we came back into the game. Held them to minimum chances throughout the rest of the game, but it could have been 5-0 after the first period. And up until that period, I think for the last little while, and we have played some good hard hockey. So a little bit of practice today was just to remind them what's coming up here, especially this time of year. Watch the games last night. You see how the intensity's already picked up in the last quarter of the year. We need to be ready to play that way. So not frustrated, but just opportunity to teach.
You talk about dealing with mindset stuff and where you are in the season, and then with us, and then the letter the other day, you've talked a lot about where you guys are as an organization, what you're looking forward to. What do you tell the guys? Is it the same message to them, or are you just keeping them more like small picture?
We play Edmonton tomorrow, and we're trying to win the game. Every time you put the uniform on, you try to win the game, and they've put themselves in a spot where maybe they can look up instead of look behind them. But to me, when you're playing meaningful games at this time of year, that's exciting. This is when it really starts getting to be hockey because you can see the end of the line. I'll leave it at that. It doesn't change my thinking as far as the building of this team, how much work we have to do. But they've worked their ass off, a 10, 11 game losing streak, but they get back to 500 within 50 games. Have a great month of January to give yourself a chance to play more meaningful games. And it doesn't, when they put the uniform on, you guys talk about tanking like it's something that I just don't get the word tanking, how it's so prevalent in our game. Athletes don't tank. They wouldn't even know how to spell the word. That's what's so great about our game. And so we're trying to win every game we possibly can. I guess that's a long-winded answer, but that's how we're trying to approach it.
I guess not necessarily when it comes to tanking, but your message that it's just as important to figure out who you have as who's going to be a part
And you can
of it.
do
Is that
both.
something
You can do both, yes. And it's a very important part of my job to do both, because I'm not saying we have all the answers, and I'm not saying by any stretch that we're there. We're not there by any means. But once when the 6 o'clock meeting comes and you get ready to play a 7 o'clock game, it's a hockey game, and you're trying to win it. And that's how we're going to go about it.
John, as a coach, do you still get a kick out of trying to set up a plan to defend a guy like McDavid?
We really don't. We won't have a plan. We're going to play our game. To me, when you talk about a McDavid, and certainly no disrespect, and you talk about the great players in our game, you start trying to make a plan for them. I think you put your team into a situation where you're not inflicting. You're just trying to counter. You're trying to counterpunch. And I talk about mindset a lot, which is so very important, especially now, this time of year. We certainly have to be aware when he's on the ice. And that's how we go about the top players in the game, and probably the top player in the game tomorrow. We certainly have to be aware when he's on the ice, but they've got some pretty good players other than him, too. And it doesn't change, Sam, it doesn't change for me and how we're going to play. We're going to worry about ourselves. certainly respect the Edmonton organization, but we're going to worry about ourselves and not spend too much time talking about them.
John, Morgan Frolsino and Tippett played really well with James Van Riemsdyk, and it's no secret that James could be traded come March. When you break them up and you put Tippett and Frost elsewhere, is that somewhat trying to get them to build chemistry with someone else, given James might not be your dad?
No, you guys are talking about James being traded. We don't talk about it. I just wanted to change the lines. Yeah, that all that stuff you guys are going to write about the next few weeks, who's going to go, who isn't, it doesn't fall into my, I just don't think about that. I just felt I wanted to change some lines. I went with the same lines as I started. I felt we came on in that last game, ended up with some scoring chances. James just had a couple of misses. A lot of our offense in that game was almost offense. It was really frustrating, and so got to be really careful on just changing things to change things. But I felt prior to that game, as we went in Winnipeg with the two wings, James and TK, I like what they did there. So I wanted to give it another chance. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Did
John,
you
you-
feel like that almost offense was just bounces going wrong, or just like the actual player not finishing?
A little bit of both. James had two just bang-ins, but he didn't see them. Or one he got. Like I talked to him today, he got jammed. He saw one of them. I think it might have been TK. I'm not sure if he saw TK's or not, but one he didn't see, one he just jammed himself. Almost offense for me is you make the right plays to get to the situation. You just don't make the last one. And give the Islanders credit because they had great sticks. I mean, Yorkie comes down the pipe in the slot, has a great chance, and I'm not number 20. I forget it was a great stick play by him. That's what pissed me off about our team in that game was that's a veteran team. They get some juice when Bo was traded there, and we weren't ready. And we weren't ready for their checking. And that's what they've lived by. That's what bothered me the most. But I thought we regrouped the second and third periods.
John, you've been asked over the course of the year about, trying to build a culture here, trying to build an identity, and your responses have pretty much been, ask me in a few months, ask me later on in the year. In that letter that you sent out on Monday, you basically said that you think you guys are on the right track with regards to that. I guess, why do you believe you guys are on the right track, and what signs have you seen that it's growing?
Yeah, and I'll use one word, belief. I think there's belief. We go through a month of January, how we regrouped after the 10-game losing streak. How many did we lose in a row? Was it 10 or more? Was it 10? And then coming to the month of January, when you look at the calendar and you say, man, where are we going to be after this? And honestly, and I said it to myself too. I said, where are we going to be? And I saw them give, and I saw them help one another, conflict along the way with coaches and players backing up players when there's conflict, all the little things that you see a team try to come together and believe, I think is starting. Having said that, we still got to keep working at it. I am not going to criticize anybody before me or the teams before this staff came in, but I just felt in the summertime when we started this, I just felt we weren't on the tracks, right? I think we've gotten ourselves on the tracks. I'll put it to you that. I think we've gotten ourselves on the tracks. Now, which way are we going to go? Are we going to keep moving forward, or are we stuck there? You get stuck there too long, you might fall off the tracks again. And that's where I think we're at. But I think it's a positive sign. Really excited about the opportunity to see how we handle the intensity and the hardness of the last quarter of the year. It's going to be, I hope it's good thoughts at the end. I'm not sure if it is or not. I can't predict.
You talked about learning about players in these types
Yeah.
of games.
Yeah.
You feel like you're going to learn a lot about some
Yeah,
young players.
and they will too.
Yeah.
More importantly, them. That's what's so exciting for players in this time. It tests you, and if you don't want tests as an athlete, if you don't want the pressure and of playing in meaningful games, what are we doing? And so I think it's a great situation for not just some of the older guys that have probably done it before. A number of the guys have done, but for me, watching the younger guys. So it's a really good situation, and it's up to us how long do we keep playing those meaningful games, right? And I hope we stay in it and are doing those things.
We talked to a few players today. They talked about the Eagles and the fact that they're doing so well. They draw inspiration from that. Can you, as a coach, point out that this is kind of like what winning looks like, that they're a cohesive unit, they play for each other and so forth?
Yeah, I don't, and a huge football fan, and I don't think they're going to stop the Eagles. I think it's destiny for them, just the way it's gone and how they do present themselves. But I haven't drawn any correlation. I'm too much worried about the day to day, it's one day at a time for us. So I want the players to see, and they do. They see how this sports town reacts to a team that's in it, and I want them to experience that. And whether we do or not, we'll find out.